Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Damn. Thank you and welcome to the September 15th Post Falls City Council meeting. We have Deputy Clerk Phyllis in. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And you please note that all council members are present. Tonight we do have one public hearing, and if anybody wishes to testify, there are forms in the back. Please fill them out and turn them in to Phyllis. So we'll have them as we get into the public hearing. Ceremonies, announcements, appointments, and presentations. We do have a proclamation for Constitution Week 2015. Whereas September 17th, 2015 marks the 228th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore I, Ronald G. Jacobson, Mayor of the City of Post Falls, Idaho, do hereby proclaim September 17th through September 23rd, 2015 to be Constitution Week 2015, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787, dated this 15th day of September 2015. And under announcements, there will be a Transportation Master Plan Open House Thursday, September 17th from 11:30 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. in the City Hall Rotunda. The last update to the Transportation Master Plan was in 2004. Since that time, growth rates and patterns have shifted in the community, as well as the community's desire to incorporate alternative modes of transportation into city standards. City staff is asking for public comments relative to the current work and suggestions towards resolving future identified congestion areas. So please feel free to stop in and share your thoughts, concerns, and input. Post Falls Historical Society's 21st annual Oktoberfest will be Friday, October 2nd from 5 to 8 o'clock p.m. at Camelin Park in Post Falls. There will be music, food, beer, and a live and silent auction. This event is sponsored by the Post Falls Community Volunteers, and they always do a very nice job with that event. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
There are none tonight, sir.
Are there any declarations of conflict?
No.
Would you please present the consent calendar?
Item A is minutes from the September 1st, 2015 council meeting. Item B is payables August 25th through September 7th, 2015. Item C is Viking Estates Subdivision Master Development Agreement. Item D is Montrose 8th Edition Subdivision Construction Improvement Agreement. Item E is Foxtail 2nd Edition Construction Improvement Agreement. Item F is Public Transit Funding Agreement with Kootenai County. Item G is Sportsman Parking Lot Professional Services Agreement with Frame Smetana Engineering. Item H is a Feasibility Study Contract with JUB Engineers for the Water Reclamation Facility. And item I is the Rathdrum Prosecution Contract. And I want to recognize the fact that Joel Ryan is in the back of the audience tonight.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to accept the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Phyllis, please take the roll.
Wolf.
Aye.
Mallory.
Aye.
Malloy, sorry.
It's all right. Happens all the time.
Anderson. Aye. Hassan.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. We are now down to the public hearing, and tonight's public hearing is on the Miller Development Annexation. And I'll open the public hearing. Mr. Manley.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
John Manley, Associate Planner here with the City of Post Falls, introducing the Miller Development Annexation Case File A-15-02. The applicant is the Miller Development Group LLC, and the applicant's representative is here this evening for the owner, being the applicant. The requested action is to annex approximately 7.7 acres of real property into the City of Post Falls with the zoning designation of R1 single-family residential. The R1 zoning designation is your typical single-family home designation within the City of Post Falls. The comprehensive plan designates the area as residential infill. The current land use is vacant, and the water provider would be the City of Post Falls as well as the sewer. And looking at the surrounding zoning for this area, you can see in yellow and within the legend that this is the single-family home R1 zoning district nearby. To the east, you have the County Ag Suburban, that's the green. And just due south in red is the Community Commercial Services, which is commercial zone properties, with limited commercial just a bit to the south, which is your neighborhood commercial zoning district. Annexations and Smart Code. Per Title 18A.04.040, per the Administrative and Structure, subsection C, basically what it says is, and the reason why I'm bringing this forward is, the property is 7.7 acres, but this code says for property less than 10, it's up to City Council's direction whether an annexation would be to come in as conventional, which is your R designations, or Smart Code, which is your SC designations. So it'll be up to you this evening to decide what you would prefer. The Planning and Zoning Commission, on their August 11th public hearing, determined as part of their recommendation that the R1 single-family designation was appropriate per the request. So that would conclude staff's introduction of the proposed annexation.
Any questions to John at this point?
I just want to, what is it now? What's the zoning now?
The current zoning would be that it's county, is in the county
it be
pocket,
that
so it's
same
got the
county?
Ag Suburban zoning designation.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Your Honor, fellow council members. Drew Dittman, Lake City Engineering, 3909 North Schreiber Way, City of Coeur d'Alene, for the record. As John had indicated, we believe it's a fairly straightforward infill annexation, slightly less than 8 acres, 7.7 acres, the intersection of Idaho Street, 16th Avenue. This might look familiar to you guys. You saw it a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. It came in as a larger annexation with several of the neighboring properties that was approved through P&Z and it was approved through council. During the annexation agreement process and how it fell apart. I wasn't involved with it at that time, so I can't answer any particulars about that, but I know it fell apart. This particular piece of property was sold to the Miller Development Group. They purchased it, and now we're trying to annex that separately. By itself, we're requesting an R1 designation. You can see everything up there in yellow is already R1, so it's surrounded by R1 with the exception of the commercial piece to the south. Utilities and infrastructure are in 16th Avenue, was recently realigned there. You can see it kind of cuts through the top corner of the piece. So there's sewer and water infrastructure in 16th Avenue available. There's capacity for the project. I don't have much more to add. It's fairly straightforward on our part, so I'm happy to answer any questions, though.
Any questions to Drew? Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.
Staff report.
The Planning Division reviewed this proposed annexation. The property is within the Post Falls area of city impact. The boundary of the proposed annexation is contiguous with the city limits along its west, north, and part of its southern boundary. The proposed annexation would promote infill and development and reduce the size of a fairly large existing county pocket. You can see here that this is the size of this county pocket, 354.6 acres. So obviously at this point in time, it's just taking a minor dent, but as we incrementally get these, it'll be a benefit to the city of Post Falls. It recommends that if the determination of approval is concluded for the proposed annexation, that this annexation be processed under the Title 18 R1 zoning district. So the Planning Division determines that as being the most appropriate. And also, if you've seen within the staff report that through the staff analysis for the annexation policies and general policies found within the comp plan, that it's consistent with those as well. The engineering division, in regards to transportation, is that the transportation elements of the project are acceptable as presented. In regards to the water reclamation, that the project has the capability to serve the project, except southern portions of the property may require an extension of a sewer main to the property from the south boundary at the time of site development. In regards to domestic water, the city has the available facilities to serve the project. And the proposed land use classification would not adversely impact the city's water system. Kootenai County Fire and Rescue commented and have no issue with the proposed annexation. And at this time, I stand for any questions you may have for me.
Mr. Malloy.
A dumb question, but when this was approved before as a larger parcel, was it approved as R1 or Smart Code?
It was before SC4, Smart Code 4.
So, do you have any recollection of what made it fall apart?
It was a change of ownerships and also lack of participation in signing annexation agreements. So due to the two, it more or less just fell apart.
So this is just kind of a wild out there, but it's not an effort to get below a 10-acre parcel so that it don't have to follow a Smart Code?
From my understanding, there was no deliberate attempt for that, no.
And R1 makes sense there anyway, so I'm good.
Any questions?
Mr. Manley, just wasn't the request for Smart Code, the SC4 and the private under the prior annexation at the request of the applicants? It wasn't, was it?
The prior annexation, it was a combination of the city of Post Falls in agreement with the applicant determining that the SC4 was the most appropriate at that point in time. With the current situation, the R1 is equally as appropriate. So you have to determine each situation on its own premise and merit.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Right. Thank you.
Phyllis, is there anyone wishing to testify? Thank you very much. Drew, you want to speak again? There's Drew Dittman, and he is in favor. So it's good that you're in favor for representing the owner, so we got you. And that's all the public testimony. So with that, I'm sure there's no need to rebut. Close the public hearing. Council, how would you like to act?
I think it makes sense. Anytime we can get some of the county in those pockets in the city limits, I think it makes sense. The R1 obviously makes sense. It's surrounded on three sides by R1. And if nobody else has a comment, I'm ready to make a motion.
Any other comments?
Go for it.
I move to approve file number A-15-02, the Miller Development Annexation, to include staff conditions 1 through 3, and that the zone to be R1.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hassan,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. I concur with your comments, Linda. I think it's great to see infill. I know it's not only that, but as you drive around town, you see some of these vacant commercial lots now in between two buildings that I've seen 2 or 3 where they're actually starting to be developed. So it is nice to see some of the infill taking place. Unfinished business, we have none. Citizen issues. This section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council regarding a city-related issue. If anyone wishes to testify, please step forward and give your name for the record. Seeing none. Next item is new business. We have none. Ordinances and resolution. We have one ordinance to rescind the emergency burn ban.
Move to approve the rescinding ordinance number 1282, emergency burn ban, on its first and only.
Sorry, no, I am.
You're fine.
On its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion. Clerk, please take the roll.
I have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we're going to rescind the ordinance, but are we going to get another ordinance or something back? So we don't
Yes,
have to
in
go through this
October.
again?
In October, we're going to come forward with an ordinance that matches the cities with the county-wide, so everybody will have the same burn ordinance in place.
Would we then, if I can follow up on that, is it then something that would not have to come back for passing and then rescinding every year? Or is it, will there be something in place that it can be
Well, this is
declared?
an emergency burn ban, so you would still, in circumstances such as we had, possibly have an emergency burn ban come forward.
Okay. My thought is, in a situation like that where it obviously becomes an emergency, it would be nice to be able to automatically have it
We could, yeah.
take effect and then go away when it's declared not needed anymore.
I believe that's the intent, is to have something that's a little bit more self-executing. However, at this point, we don't have the language worked out completely, so I can't tell you exactly what it's going to say, but I think the idea is it will be triggered instead of having to have an emergency situation. But with that said, if you do pass it, and if you do have another emergent situation, you can still come forward with this.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking kind of for the same thing where Chief Merritt or whatever could make it happen versus having
the
to come right
declaration.
to the council.
Okay.
Ready?
Second. We approve, please take the roll. Thank you.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Hisong,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. And now, Mr. Cafferty.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of Idaho, rescinding ordinance number 1282, adopted August 21st, 2015, providing severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
Move to approve the ordinance rescinding ordinance 1282, emergency burn ban, and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion. Phyllis, please take the roll.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Hisong,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, and thank you to all the citizens for complying with that. It was a dire situation, and we appreciate your cooperation. Administrative and staff reports.
We have none tonight, sir.
Mayor comments, just a few. The Schneidmiller family was inducted into the Idaho Hall of Fame at the Chamber of Commerce membership meeting today. The induction is based upon all contributions that the Schneidmiller family has made to the Post Falls community over the last 6 decades. I'd like to congratulate Gary and thank he and his family for all they've done for our community. But I'd also like to go beyond that and extend a thank you to Freeman Duncan and Tony Stewart, who are the directors, the North Idaho directors on the Idaho Foundation. And the comment was made today that North Idaho had been somewhat overlooked for many years, and they've rectified that. What did he say, out of 14 or 16, out of 16 nominees, I think 12 or 14 were from Tony and Freeman, so they're doing their job. So we want to thank them for all their efforts. But again, congratulations to the Schneidmiller family. And also congratulations to Shelley. City Administrator Shelley Underwood recently received the Credentialed Manager designation from ICM, the International City-County Management Association. Ms. Underwood is one of over 1,300 local government management professionals currently credentialed through the ICMA voluntary credentialing program. Congratulations, Shelley. You've continued to set the bar high. The city held a 9/11 National Day of Service and Remembrance ceremony on the City Hall Plaza. I'd like to thank the Post Falls Police, Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, the American Legion Post 143, and the Patriot Guard riders, honor guard units for their help in making this a special ceremony. It's always very moving to see the people in attendance and to see those who participate and appreciate their efforts. They do make it a special occurrence. Council comments?
I guess I have a question for the rest of the council. Last time we met, Barry brought up the suggestion that we have open houses at some of our departments for the citizens to come in and see. And I got to thinking about it after the meeting. I thought, that's a pretty darn good idea. So I didn't know what the pulse of the rest of the council would be, or whether the city has looked into this in the past, or...
We do have some open houses that already occur, such as the police department, and I know that community development has announced that they're going to be doing open houses on Fridays.
Okay.
I can't remember how long that is. Russ could probably stand up. 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, they're going to have open houses. We also usually have sort of like an open house for Halloween. We open up City Hall and allow trick-or-treating and things to happen here. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I would suggest, and this may sound awful, but it's extremely educational out at the wastewater plant. Terry Warner took me through that, and the process out there is amazing. And if you drive by now, you see about 87,000 feet of dirt piled high. I don't know how they get it that high, but that would be a very interesting tour. Maybe not an open house, but a tour to take just to see. I know Kerry was involved with organizing a tour of the bridge, but that's a huge construction project out there as well. So I think that might be something that would be very interesting.
It's a wonderful idea. We do have tours on occasions with River City and with the schools, but we could open that up and do an open house and a tour also for the wastewater plant. So.
Especially since that's such a huge portion of the utility bill every month, people might want to see where it's going, so.
Moving dirt.
Round Trout Avenue.
Kerry.
Transportation.
I would like to welcome Hannah Riordan today. She is in the audience, and she's a freshman at STEM Academy, and this is part of her civics homework. So I would like you to know that this is a very brief meeting. So
Picked a good one.
You might need to come to another. And then also best wishes to Post Falls distinguished young woman, Ashley Smart, now a senior at Post Falls High School. She's in Pocatello this week, representing Post Falls at the state program, and she's just outstanding. So I know we're being well represented.
Awesome.
Good. Anything else? I'd jump back in real quick. I'd like to extend best wishes to football coach Jeff Hines.
Oh, yeah.
He's struggling, missed his first game in, I think they said 22 years.
22 years.
But Jeff's a dedicated coach. He's got a tough battle. And hopefully Jeff knows how much he is appreciated by not only his players and students, but by the community at large. So best wishes to Jeff and his family as he continues this fight. Executive session. We do need one.
Yes,
How long?
10 minutes.
Move to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206-1A to consider hiring a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. That further, there will be no action will be taken during the session, and the session will last approximately 10 minutes.
Yes.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Phyllis, please take the roll.
Song,
Aye.
Henderson. Loy,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll enter into executive session.
Yeah.
Call the meeting back to order. Are there any motions to come forward?
To adjourn.
To adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Oh, I forgot to say aye, aye.